If you're familiar with my past videos and have witnessed how my work has evolved and my thought process has shifted since starting this channel in 2016, then you'll perhaps have noticed that it's my fundamental need to be immersed in nature and enjoy its freely available benefits that's the backbone of my photography. That deepening empathetic relationship with the woodland environment has driven me to learn more, share more, dive deeper into understanding the trees and allow that never-ending learning process to not only influence the images that I make, but enrich the experience of nature and add subtle layers of meaning. I've never been one for discussing camera settings, gear or top tips. I mean, all those things absolutely have their place in everybody's journey through photography. But consider how personal expression, depth and fulfillment can be achieved through knowledge of nature and aligning that with your own creative vision. What if you could photograph an oak tree not just because it was striking in form and beauty, but your interpretation of it was more informed and nuanced because you understood its ecological significance. You could estimate its age. You knew what microhabitats it could harbour, or even what bird life it can sustain through sound alone. What if you could walk into a woodland and know it was ancient and biodiverse just by hearing a particular bird? You photograph those green rocks not just because they're vibrant and enchanting, but because they're alive with rare mosses, lichens, fascinating bugs and edible leaves. Equally, you might want to document a woodland because you know it's been lost, because its ability to sustain life is depleting, and because you're driven to make images that aren't just about beauty, but the fact that beauty and habitat is under threat. There's an incredibly complex and fascinating world for us to deep dive into, and you'll be amazed as to what you can find and how joyous and illuminating it can make your journey through photography. Now, I still consider my own journey to be in its infancy, so I've invited conservationist, naturalist and all-round nature lover Lucy Lapwing to my favourite woodland. Now, Lucy's taught birdsong through BBC Radio, works behind the scenes at BBC Springwatch and shares her wonderful insights through Instagram. So I'm going to take a bit of a back seat in this episode as we prod the weird, appreciate the wonderful, and let Lucy just share her knowledge and passion while we explore this woodland with one of the best tools that we have at our disposal, curiosity.
Wow! Oh, I couldn't see that because of the sun. Oh my god. Woo! Here we go. It like echoes, can you hear it? Echo! Waiting. And then fruity mushroominess, it just smells, if you like mushrooms, so it just smells really good. Very good. Inhale images.
We might have to give up on this. It's a good few years ago now, and I was wandering through a local woodland, and that's when I kind of first noticed the kind of profound healing effects of the place. Yes. And that was it. I was absolutely hooked. Yes. I thought, whatever this is, I don't understand it, yes, but whatever it is, it needs to be, I need to repeat this as much as possible.
Exactly. For me, it always has been like outdoors and nature's always been something that I've thought, well, why isn't everyone excited about it? It's the best thing. I think woodlands do have a special effect in that way, and I don't know if it's something, I don't know, primal or something about our human species, as that kind of like security almost. That's what I think for me about nature is so good, is that you can have the most magical moment with like a spider on the wall of your house, let alone like, you know, you don't have to be in these far-flung pristine places. You can be, you know, anywhere and find something amazing. If you start to understand nature and what it is and what species are and how they interlink and what that behaviour means and what's it doing and what's it eating and why is it doing that, then it just makes the most kind of mundane situations interesting.
It needs that curiosity.
Yes, that's the best tool you can take out with you, is curiosity and nosiness. How does this tent work? You can see an oak tree and you can appreciate that it's a huge tree and it's really cool and it looks beautiful, but it's when you start to understand the ecology of an ancient oak and how when it gets over 500 years old, you know, the boughs might start breaking and it might drop in profile and it gets stout and hollow, and how that's like an ecological process.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it deepens your understanding of the moment and makes it more kind of special.
Is it always changed for the better, the more that you've learnt about it?
It's a blessing and a curse because what is that? It's the best thing ever. Like, it's just the best thing. I constantly get so much joy and wonder and excitement and just absolute mintness out of it. But
Mintness.
Mintness.
I like it.
but the problem is knowing what state our natural world's in. So the more you immerse yourself in it, the more you can see how bad it is, and then you're like, oh, everything's dying. This is really depressing.
I like to think I've got a keen eye for detail.
Yeah.
But that's as a creative,
Yes.
not as an ecologist or anyone who has any really deep understanding of what's going on. I'm quite excited to see what you find in here, and hopefully you don't find.
Welcome to the nerd zone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm quite happy to nerd out. Well, yeah,
A lot of fun.
hopefully we'll find some cool stuff
Yes,
because
I hope
I'm
Depends what you think's
passionate
cool.
about this place, so I'll get quite excited if you find some really cool things.
It's a beautiful place.
Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful.
Good. All
Very
set.
good. All set.
Happy with that?
Yeah.
Apart from the slope.
Yeah. Good first
Yeah.
tent pitch.
Shall we? We've got loads of time until tea.
Yeah.
I reckon. Shall we go for a bit of an adventure?
See what
See
we
what we can find.
Yep, sounds good.
Right. Let's
away
do
from
it.
these
I
midges.
reckon that way.
This way.
Yep. So as we're walking through here, Lucy, what types of things would you be looking out for? I mean, there could be probably thousands of things. But
That's the thing, is, you know, you never know what you're going to see. But with a woodland, I suppose as with any kind of habitat, there's a whole number of things that you could see that are unique to that woodland. Oak is the species of tree in the UK that has the most other affiliated species with it, of everything. So like, you know, birds, mammals, insects, like, I don't know, it's hundreds of species of insect. Woo. And, you know, fungi, all sorts of stuff.
speaking of oak trees, I've got to show you this one here. I mean,
Ooh.
there's tons of really awesome oak trees in this wood,
Yeah.
taking on some quite peculiar shapes.
Yes.
But this one
Oh, wow.
is a beauty. Yeah, let's have a closer look. It's pretty awesome, isn't
It's
it?
just ridiculous. It almost looks like lava.
That's exactly the term that I've used in a video before.
Like, you know, when it sets after it's melted.
Yeah.
It's like, I have to take my glasses off.
It looks like, from here, it looks like a fish's mouth. there's an eye.
Yeah, that's amazing, isn't it? It's like, yeah, like lips.
It's going to swallow you.
Yeah, it's so cool. It like echoes, can you hear it? Echo! It's really cool. So that's the magic stuff. Ooh, don't know what that is. Looks kind of like soil, but it's all like just completely dusty, rotting wood. Called the heartwood, like heart rot. Doesn't barely smell of anything. It's all the rotten oak as it's breaking down. But you only get that in trees that are hundreds of years old. And then you get insects that rely like purely on that. That's all they can survive in. So they're entirely reliant on an ecosystem that has ancient oak trees. And if they don't have them,
Amazing.
they go extinct.
You see, this brings a whole new dimension to what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
Well, you know, as a creative person looking for forms and shapes
Yeah.
and relationships, to know this information as well, it just brings a kind of different
Yeah.
layer of appreciation and
Yeah.
fascination.
Like for things to get like this far down the line, you need to have almost like a chain reaction of species. Like one species can only rely on like one having done its life cycle previously, and that kind of thing. There's like a rare type of spider that only lives in abandoned birds' nests at the top of ancient oak trees. It's like so niche, but it just goes to show just how delicately balanced everything is. It all needs to fit together. I don't even know what that is. It's something red and jelly-like.
Really?
Yeah, it's really weird. Oh, it's currant gall. I'm not going to eat that, it's got a baby wasp in it.
So what have we got here then?
So these are ash black slugs, I believe.
Are these different to the ones that you'll get in your garden?
Yes, so there's quite a few species of slugs and snails in the UK, and there is a bit of like a crossover between what's classed as a slug and a snail. There's some snails with reduced shells and all sorts of weird stuff. But these, I think, I've been on a very basic conchology course, which is the study of mollusks, and I think these guys are associated with woodland. So I've seen these in places like Sherwood Forest before. Okay. And I mean, they're huge. Look at the size of them. This is their defence mechanism because I've upset them by picking them up, but they're not coming to any harm. So the identifying feature, if I pick this one up because he's a bit more upset. Sorry. If you look underneath, can you see that white stripe?
Yeah.
So it looks like a mint humbug, and that's how you tell.
Probably not as tasty.
Well, funny you say that. Apparently, so this bit, the mantle, which is like the smooth little saddle bit, I've heard, and I don't know if it's fake news, that if it can secrete a substance that makes your tongue go numb. But I've tried licking them a few times. I don't know if you want to lick them.
I'm not licking it.
Put you on the spot. It's not going to kill you. Tasting out, but...
Yeah, I'm not licking a slug.
Why? I've only licked that one, so you can lick that one.
I'll get the dirt. I don't know why I'm removing dirt when I'm about to lick a slug.
Well, now you can say you've licked a slug.
Brilliant. Yeah,
Quite
there's
cool,
one to tick off the list.
But like, that's not made my tongue go numb, is it yours? So I don't know if it's just fake news that tries to.
I think that's fake.
But they're still cool, aren't they? Cool creatures.
Yep.
Big things. Weighty. And then you start hallucinating. Yeah, beautiful.
Very cool.
Yeah. Let you guys go.
Yeah, leave them in peace.
If you're very annoyed at me. There you go.
Can you hear that buzz? Oh, there. I can hear a buzzard.
Can you see it?
No.
Looks like it was quite low down.
We might see some things down here because this is moving towards the beck now, which you can hear.
Yes. Yeah. It'd be good to see if there's any birds on the stream.
I love this area of trees.
Oh my God! Look at this.
What?
Excited! Have you ever seen Chicken of the Woods before?
Chicken of the woods?
Chicken of the Woods.
Ah, you... Oh.
Oh, is that your face? Oh my God, are you alright?
Lethal, these things.
This tree's trying to kill us.
The thing is, I've spent God knows how much time in the woods.
And you've never seen
I've
this
never
chicken.
seen anything like that.
It's just, the colours are unreal, aren't they? Absolutely. It's like an artificial colour, but it's ridiculous. Like,
Well, it's a bit like, more references to the sea. It does look something that you see around,
like a coral.
the barrier reef.
Yeah, it's stunning, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think they grow on like living hardwoods. So I think oak is one that you get them on quite a lot.
Yeah.
But it's called chicken of the woods, not because it looks like a chicken, but apparently it tastes like chicken when you cook it.
Really?
It's one of the most sought after wild mushrooms.
Because it looks like something that would kill you.
It does, doesn't it? It just looks like something that's warning, stay away. But I mean, get in, have a smell. It's like...
Does it smell?
Fruity mushroominess. It just smells, if you like mushrooms.
Oh, it does actually.
It smells really good. And it's just really soft to touch as well. It's lovely.
And it's definitely not poisonous.
No, there's not a lot you can mistake it for. There's one that's similar that I think is oak polypore. But if you scratch the underside where the gills are, if it was that other one, these would turn like a blackish grey. But it doesn't. It stays the same colour. So there's not really much else you can mistake.
It's moist.
Yeah, it is moist. Perfect use of the word moist. Yeah. I mean, this is the spore-bearing side. So if you look closely, it's loads and loads of tiny little holes. It almost looks like a maze. I don't know if you can get right under there. And that's the spore-bearing surface. So they'll develop in there and be emitted out. These almost microscopic. So if you were to leave like a piece of paper under there, overnight, it would get covered in. I don't know what colour spores these guys have got, but it get covered in either like a white dust or like a brown or.
I always look at these and think they're going to be really delicate, but
yeah, it's quite sturdy.
Boing,
isn't
boing,
it?
boing,
Boing, boing.
boing, boing.
So satisfying. Yeah.
Cool. So these aren't very popular then?
They're not very. Well, I think they would have been more common in the past when we had more older trees.
Yeah.
But it's the combined thing. If we've not got as many old trees, and they're also really highly sought after as a wild food.
Yeah.
So a lot of places that, you know, have a lot of heavy footfall, you tend to just get them completely stripped of mushrooms in mushroom picking season. Look at that colour in there, in a little pouch.
Colour's
It's
fantastic.
amazing, isn't it? Yeah.
It's like just a beautiful splash of autumn in summer.
Yeah, that's the thing. And, you know, a place like this will be brilliant to come later in the year in autumn.
Right.
That's when fungi really comes into its own.
Right.
So everything starts to die back.
So it actually tastes like chicken?
Apparently so. So I guess we're going to have to find out, aren't we?
Really?
I think so.
So we're going to, what is it going
So
to be?
I don't generally pick mushrooms as a rule.
Okay.
Just I like to appreciate them in situ, in their environment, doing what they're doing,
Yeah.
you know, helping stuff break down. And there is a lot of pressure on picking mushrooms, so it's not something I do often. But here is a site, as you know, it's very, very quiet. It's not going to get a lot of disturbance.
No, I mean, literally nobody comes here at all.
So I think if we took one piece and we could try it over
what is
tea
this?
tonight.
So we're going to have chicken mushroom, what was slug soup?
Yes, look at it. Nettle tea.
Wonderful.
Foraging.
Right, okay, I'm game, as long as you know what you're doing.
Well, I do.
Right.
Yeah. So good. It's leaking a juice on me as well. Oh my god, it smells so good. These are quite tough. There we go. If we cut them slice in half. We could do those in the can, couldn't we?
We're almost ready for our starter then.
I think so.
Are we going for it?
So gourmet.
It actually does look like kind of like the
Like fleshy, doesn't it?
Yeah, the kind of fibrous chicken quality. Go on
I
then.
don't think it'll be particularly flavoured as we've got no
Ladies first.
oil.
Nothing to do with the fact that I don't want to eat it first.
Okay, well, I'm going to stab you that on that like that. There you go, you can have it like a lollipop.
Oh wow. It does look like a crab stick.
It does, doesn't it?
It does.
Okay, cheers. Oh, it is softer. It is.
Really hot.
Probably. Oh wow!
That is actually really good. I can imagine that with, some seasoning,
Yeah.
garlic butter.
Garlic butter. Yeah. Oh yeah. Bit of rosemary or something. Squeeze a lemon juice.
Mm-hmm. It has a sweetness to it.
That with any kind of seasoning on that would really bring out the flavour, especially if you like seared it in a bit of oil or something.
Yeah. It gives me confidence that we are actually eating
The right one.
chicken in the woods.
That last bit was really good. Yes, excellent.
Right.
Cool, right.
Homemade.
12 hours till death.
YouTube photographer meets his demise in the woods. So have you always just got it with nature, or is there things that have happened where
Yeah.
that's kind of deepened your relationship with it, and where you've just like that? Yes,
Yes.
this is it.
A bit of both. So I'd argue that like every human inherently has it in them. If you show any toddler, any little kid, wildlife or nature, a worm, a frog, a snail, unless they've been tainted or corrupted, then they'll naturally be fascinated because it's other life, it's moving, it's interesting, whatever. I remember being stood in the garden with my arms outstretched and my mum was saying, "What are you doing?" And I must have been 5. And I was saying, if I stand still for long enough, the birds will think I'm a tree. They'll come and land on me. And I vividly remember that. But I didn't know an awful lot. And obviously, when you're a child, the connection's not that emotional or deep because you're a kid.
Yeah.
But it just always stayed with me. And then enough for me to, go and study wildlife conservation and stuff. Yeah, so and at the end of my first contract in conservation, I started getting like weird physical symptoms, and about 9 days before my contract ran out, I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. It was physically unpleasant to go through, but in terms of like my spirit and my mental health, it was completely propped up by nature. And I think because of the timings, and it coincided with me not being able to work because my contract was finishing, I had to take that time off and be unemployed. And so I had spare time around my treatment. I'd have chemo every other week. And so on my good days when I felt well, I'd just go out. And that was when I already had the interest, but I didn't have the knowledge. I wasn't, good at identifying stuff. So I've made it my mission to self-teach myself wildlife. And to do that, I started using Instagram. So my Instagram very suddenly transformed from like photos of me on a night out and, pissing a hot tub or whatever, and then transformed into wildlife stuff, because I'd use it as a way to teach myself. I'd find something, Google it a lot, work out what it was, whether it's a bug, a flower, a fungus, and then ID it and then write about it. And that's just how it kind of snowballed from there. So that's where the connection for me has really grown, is connecting with it and learning about it. And then every year I think I can't possibly like it more. And then I look back at myself even last year and think, God, you knew nothing then. And like every year you learn so much more, and it grows. And it all comes from positive feeling, because you're feeling connection and excitement and inspiration. It's the most human and most natural thing in the world to want to share that with other people, especially when you can see that other people would benefit from it. Because we all have people, loved ones in our lives who have hard times or bad health or bad mental health. And if you've got this magic thing, and the thing for me that I think about nature, it's not just like any old hobby. Some people love golf, some people love knitting, and they can find love and passion in that. But nature is such a core thing of who we are.
Primeval
and what
instinct.
we need. Yeah, and we've literally evolved from it and with it. It's kind of like becoming a hunter. It's almost like the natural instinct. You notice the little movements, you notice the little things, and you're like, ooh, what's that? Ooh, what's that? Ooh, what's that? Little tiny slug. Ah.
Oh, you don't need. It's going to be far too warm for him up there.
You need to be somewhere else. Let's move you.
I hoped for a peaceful sleep in the woods. Peaceful, yes, not so much of the sleeping.
No. An itchy sleep in the woods as well. Hey, no hallucinations.
Yeah.
No throwing up.
Going again, isn't it? What have we got here then, Lucy?
You found a buzzard nest.
Where's?
Can you see? If you come and stand where I am here, in the gap, and it's just looking straight down at us. So if you follow the trunk of the tree up, and just keep following it up, you'll see like a pale-breasted bird. It's just staring straight at us.
Is it sat in the nest?
Yeah, like. Can you see it?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's kind of merged into the tree.
It's such amazing colours. So that's the adult, one of the parents, I think. And then if you look to the left of that, you want to have a look through my binoculars?
Yeah.
You can see a chick, so you can see the difference. It's like good and messy down.
Oh yeah. Very cool. This
Isn't it?
I've never seen a bird of prey in
the
any
nest.
nest
No,
before.
it's amazing. Well, it's something normally quite secretive.
Oh, there. Looking right at me there.
Yeah.
Oh my, that's so cool.
It's excellent, isn't it? So that's like a really key sign, all of that poo splattered everywhere.
I mean, it is everywhere down there.
Yeah.
But it looks like it's like pure white. It's like
Yeah.
somebody splattered a paintbrush. I mean, will he be particularly concerned about our presence here, or?
I think if we were to try and climb the tree, we might have something to say about it, but for now it's probably just...
Probably feels quite safe up
Yeah.
there. So you think the one on the left is younger?
The one on the left is definitely a juvenile.
Yeah.
So if you look at it, it's got like a really fuzzy front of the face. It's still got like some young downy feathers,
Yeah.
underneath there. And one on the right, it's harder to tell. It's, the fact they're both sat very still makes me think they could both be young.
Right.
But it does look more advanced, and you do get, with birds of prey in particular, you get like staggered chicks. So they hatch kind of. So like a lot of birds, like blue tits, will say a blue tit pair lays 7 eggs. They'll only start incubating the eggs on the 7th day.
Okay.
So it means that they're all roughly hatch at the same time. But with birds of prey, you get this kind of like staggered, where you get one hatch, 1, 2, couple of days earlier than the rest. It's unusual to be able to look across at a nest like this. They're normally very, very high up.
Right. Right.
Picked
I would imagine. Well, I think that nobody walks past here, so they're probably got used to not being yeah.
Probably thinking about these strange things looking at us.
Yeah, waving at us.
Yeah. Hello.
Right. Shall we go and listen out for some of the birds?
Yes.
Yeah.
Good.
Get the parabolic out
Definitely.
and
like
move
a
away
plan.
from these midges.
Run.
Right.
This could go in the bloopers reel.
So what is this that you've made out of a baking mixing bowl?
This is my homemade parabolic,
Okay.
inspired by my friend who made one out of a plant pot. So yeah, it's just a mixing bowl, a duster handle, cheap microphone, nothing special, and strap it all together through various means.
All right. Well, and that's plugged into your phone.
Yes, so all it is just, phone cable. And you can basically use it to amplify bird song. So if you point it at a bird and record, it just kind of concentrates the sound and lets you kind of isolate it. So it's really good for helping learn bird song, really good for, just concentrating on it and being in the moment and picking it out. So
I think we might pick up a lot of buzzing.
yeah, oh, you reckon?
Yeah, the midges are a bit of a, well, not from the midges, but every now and then, like horseflies buzzing around.
I can hear things, yeah.
Yeah. Oh wow, these are bad. I thought last night was going to be bad.
Yeah.
Right, shall we give it a go?
Yeah.
Between all the wafting.
So, we've got one of my favourite birds singing up here. It's stopped now. And we can hear that buzzard flying over, can't we?
Yeah. So that was the willow warbler.
That was the willow warbler. But it's now gone quiet. Let me try and...
So what do they look like?
what we call the quintessential little brown job.
Little brown job. Yeah. Is that very common in woodland?
So they're more of like a scrub edge bird. So they'll be like you can hear it here, it's behind us, just where the woodland kind of ends on the hill. So they like the edge of the woodland, they like a bit of scrub habitat. And that's its song there. So it's one of my favourites. It's like really fluty and liquid in quality. But the way you remember it is that it kind of descends, so it's like a waterfall, but just really beautiful. So it goes beep, 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 beep. And it's just a sound of spring and summer because they're migrant birds, so they return back,
Oh, okay.
tend to get your first ones in like April, I think. Yes, it's a beautiful little thing. just a small little brown job, really nondescript. It looks really similar to a similar bird called the chiffchaff. But the chiffchaff sings its name, so it's like a tick-tock, like chiff-chaff, chiff-chaff.
Right.
And willow warblers do this beautiful fluty descent. Birds themselves are like indicators. They're like the metaphor, the canary in the coal mine, but they're kind of, you know, the present. Sorry.
We might have to give up on this.
Can also be a midge guard. So the presence of certain birds in a habitat will tell you about its quality because you know that they need certain things.
Okay.
You know, some birds are what we call generalists, so they'll survive just about anywhere.
Right.
And that'll be like your garden birds, the things we're really familiar with, like blue tits, robins, blackbirds, great tits, that kind of thing. You know, they'll live just about anywhere. They'll come and feed off your feeders. But there's other ones in all types of habitats that need very specific situations, and that's no exception for woodland. So you get some beautiful birds in woodlands, things like, a lot of them are migrants, again, a bit like the willow warbler, but things like the pied flycatcher or the red star or the wood warbler. And so that bird song is that extra layer of being able to identify stuff, and I love doing it. I love listening to bird song and teaching myself it, because it's like you can know you're in the presence of a bird without seeing it. Okay. So I can't see that willow warbler, but I know it's there.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like,
So you've done videos on YouTube to help identify.
Yes. Yeah.
Bird song.
Starting from scratch.
Yeah, but it must be hard.
It is hard, and I remember, because I only started learning as an adult. I only started learning properly when I was 22, 23. Right. And I remember thinking, this is impossible. How does anybody do this? This is not a real thing. You know, my old boss was trying to teach me, and I was thinking, they all sound the same. But what I've tried to do with my series is start from a logical beginner's perspective of where I started. Yeah. With the most common birds you're going to hear and see all the time. And then once you can ID those, you can narrow them down, and then you can filter them out. We've already heard like a really nice mix of birds. Yeah. So we'll just have to see what else we can hear.
Right. Well, on that note,
I don't have any blood left.
Yes, let's walk a little bit further. And get away from these, get some respite from these midges. As you could see, the midges eventually got the better of us, but what a fun and fascinating introduction to this complex and delicate world, which is quite often right underneath our noses, but is rarely appreciated for just how important and joyous it is while we try to make sense of the aesthetic. But I'm a big believer that the task of making visual sense of these complex environments becomes easier and more enriched when our connection through understanding runs deeper. People like Lucy make me realise just how little most of us know about the very thing that is core to our being. But that in itself offers this superb opportunity to find fun and fulfilment through learning, to connect at a more intricate level, to build a more positive relationship with nature, to embrace the creepy crawlies, but also to enjoy a different kind of richness to the experience and outcome of practicing photography. Now, I'll leave some links in the description below so you can follow Lucy's work and support her cause. Do let us know if you've enjoyed this episode, and perhaps we can drill down on some ideas and bring you some more weird and wonderful in some future episodes. But thank you very much for watching this one, and I hope to see you again very soon.